The Celebration Cup Group 3, 1400 metres, the first group race of the 2022-23 season. Willpower spearheads the lineup here with a rating of 114, and he carries £130 from barrier 3. California Spangle for Zach Purton. Duke Wire in the lineup there for Matthew Chadwick. Ran a bottler in the Class 1 on opening day. Healthy Happy comes into this fresh. He's 2 from 2 fresh. Mighty Giant, and in the lineup as well as Cheerful Days, who's had one trial up at Chungfa to prepare for this with £120. Alexi Bedell from barrier number 4. Now time to have a look at the speed map for the Celebration Cup, which comes up as race number 3. And as they come out of the gates, Nick, California Spangle, he's likely to go forward. But is he going to get any competition for the lead from Healthy Happy?
I think he will, Tom. Healthy Happy's obviously a brilliant horse, fresh, and we know how much he likes to lead. He's done it on numerous occasions, of course. So I don't think California Spangle will get it his own way. It'll be fascinating to see who does want to really press on and go forward. But I certainly think the duel up front, Paul, is between that pair. Yeah,
that'll be the star. But I think they'll California Spangle will go in the end. I don't think De Souza will want to get into a speed battle, and California Spangle has probably got the earlier the excess or the speed early. Mighty Giant's had pace in the past, hasn't he? So we'll see where he ends up. Duke Wide, Cheerful Days, Willpower, just such a small field. They could end up in Indian File just a bit.
Yeah, they certainly could, and sometimes we do see that California Spangle can get a little bit fired up in the early stages, so Zach Purton will be doing his best to keep him under control. Buddy's won this race last season, Nick, and he is a front runner.
He is indeed, and Tony Cruz obviously trains California Spangle, so he'll be hoping to win it again. Matthew Chadwick rode him last year. Golden 60, of course, he needs very little introduction. Or Beauty Generation, Paul, you probably saw a lot more of him than I did. What a horse he was.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, so good horses win this race. Buddies, I think, was a decent price when he did win, didn't he? Was he a bit of an outsider? Just trying to think back to last year.
Hark back now, but yeah, he liked to lead, and we've certainly got a couple of horses that do like to lead in this, the form of California Spangle and also Healthy Happy. But on California Spangle, we can hear from his jockey, who no doubt is very excited. He's back at the races, and that is Zach Purton.
Zach, California Spangle is the horse that many people have been waiting to see reappear this season. He will do on Sunday afternoon. How are the excitement levels for you?
Yeah, quite excited. Obviously, he's my favourite horse at the moment, so I'm looking forward to getting back on him. There's a lot to like about him. His trials have been quite good up there in Chongfa. It's hard to get a good line through those trials. You sort of don't take the form out of them with any great confidence, but he's had his hit-outs up there, and he looks like he's going well.
Obviously, he's trained by a master. How important was it, do you think, perhaps that you had trialled him, or is that perhaps not so much a big aspect as far as coming into this race is concerned?
I don't see it being a problem. I've ridden the horse many occasions now. I know him well. I know what to expect. So it wasn't essential that I trialled him, and he was able to trial up there on the grass, which is a good asset. And he's ready to go to the races by the look of it.
And what he done last season, Zach, obviously he's never been worse than second, this horse. I mean, it was a huge season for him. Just to go back to the beginning of it, I know he got beat at relatively short odds on his seasonal debut, but since then he just blossomed as a horse, didn't he? Yeah, and he had excuses in that race as well. He drew, might have been barrier 14. It was certainly the outside barrier in that race, and he had 3 or 4 horses kick up underneath him and make him work really hard, and he only just got run down the last bit, so there was a lot of merit in that performance. He came into that off a fairly soft trial as well, and then he just continued to improve after that. He's done everything right. He gives everything. The only problem I see in this race is maybe his racing manners. He does want to get on with it a little bit. He's a bit keen. And then if another horse races him, he might do a bit too much during the mid-stages, and being first up this season, especially over 1400, that leaves him a little bit vulnerable. But he's clearly the best horse in the race, there's no doubt about that. So hopefully he can give himself every chance. Just on that aspect of speed, obviously it's a small field, potentially could play into being a very tactical race. You've got Healthy Happy in the contest as well. If, for example, he was to want to go forward, would you let up the lead to him, or does he have to lead this horse? I'd be guided by what Tony will want me to do. So, yeah, we'll see.
It's fascinating that they kick him off here over 1,400 metres, and Paul, we're still not really sure what they might be aiming at and come International Day with 2,000 metres, 1,600 metres. I doubt they'd probably go 2,000, but more the 16 and the 12, I guess.
Yeah, that's probably the key between them, because he's won from 1,000 all the way up, hasn't he, to 1,800. Has raced over the 2,000 and ran really well. So what is his right distance? I'm not sure.
I think what sets him apart is that he's very good and he's adaptable, and they have tried him over varying distances and he's proven himself. So they do have options going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Be fascinating to see what happens with the California Spangle out of this race, should he pull up all fine and dandy. Let's have a look at some form here with up front. We've got Duke Y. And he ran a really good race here, did Duke Y. You can see him in the background there, a little bit held up at the moment. And in this race, he was third. It was a great performance, I thought, from him, Nick.
It certainly was. Look, he's a really admirable type of horse, isn't he? He's a 7-year-old, second start for the new stable, Pierre Ung. So he's clearly got him, going early. And he is a horse very much in form. Obviously, a good race, this being the winner, Lucky Sweynesse, Paul. But he always turns up, runs his race, does the Duke?
He does, yeah. Look, I don't think he's a match for California Spangle, but it was a nice run. And one thing on his favour, though, is he's already had a run this season. This was his seasonal debut, so at least he's been, he'll have match fitness on his side.
He might not be quite up to with this level, but he really did strike some trouble in that race coming off the back as well. Now we've got Healthy Happy here and Cheerful Days. It took Cheerful Days a long time to string some performances together. Nick, I think at one point through his career, his average starting price through his first season was 4.8, and he never won a race.
Yeah, indeed. He really blossomed, didn't he? And it was good to see last campaign as well, winning 6 of the 14. Look, he's now, with his rating of 104, he's got to obviously dip his toe into to slightly tougher contests, that's for sure. But he is a nice horse. And as for Healthy Happy, Paul, well, we're pretty sure we know what he's going to do, and he's got a good record fresh.
Yeah, he's unbeaten in Hong Kong fresh. He's had two campaigns. He's won both of them and won them nicely. So he's definitely a horse that can go well.
Here he is in a recent barrier trial, and with him as well as Mighty Giant. But Mighty Giant, Paul's been out of sorts for a wee while, and he does sometimes have a tendency to miss the start too. Yeah,
look, he was really off last season, wasn't he, Mighty Giant? So look, I'm not sure about him. He's last season he had 6 goes and didn't finish in the top 4. Healthy Happy, nice trial from him, and look, he'll run his race fresh.
The horse he beat there was Telecom Fighters. Now, obviously, it's a different ball game, I suppose, but the trials form looks good, and Healthy Happy's trialled very nicely there.
Yeah, certainly has there on the all-weather at Sha Tin. Now we've got Cheerful Days to highlight here in a trial up at Chung Fa Cheerful Days, and what a season he had last season, running behind Beauty Joy in the Lion Rock and then following him home again in the Premier Cup, Nick.
Yeah, he did, yeah. And look, it's his fresh record that might put 1 or 2 off. He's never been probably the greatest fresh. He might just want to run perhaps, but he's got 120 pounds. He's receiving weight. This trial, I think, has just confirmed his well-being. He seems to be in good heart, and good to see him at the races again, Paul.
Yeah, definitely. Look, as Tom said, look, he's had 25 starts in Hong Kong. He's won 7, but 6 of them all came last season. So he just had such a good season last season.
One more to look at here, it's Willpower, who does have to carry top weight. That's obviously the negative, and probably the surface as well, Paul.
Yeah, look, I couldn't have him in this. He's a very, very good horse in the all-weather Willpower, there's no question about it. But he's gone up the ratings by winning on the all-weather, and he just struggles on the turf against this level of competition. And the thing is, as you mentioned, he's got to carry 130, which really plays into California Spangle's hands.
Look, he's not, for all of his winning form has been on turf. He has actually run some good races on turf, but I think we know enough about him now, Tom, to say that he is an all-weather horse. And, well, his trainer actually won this race as a rider a few years ago as well.
Yes, he certainly did. So Tony Cruz won this race with Buddies last year. Paul, can he win it again with California Spangle?
Yeah, look, you'd be disappointed if he didn't win it. Look, we're really looking forward to California Spangle this season. As you heard from Zach, everything seems to be okay as long as he doesn't over-race. If he doesn't, I mean, he has to win this race to go on and have a really good season, unless he's really unlucky, which I can't really see with a small field. So he's on top, Healthy Happy with that really good record, fresh, Cheerful Days, and Duke Y. 2, 4, 6 and 3.
Yeah, very similar numbers to Paul, in fact, the identical, and it's hard to get away from California Spangle, of course, and he's the one we're all turning up to see, and hopefully he will win, and on to bigger and better things. Healthy Happy, though, I think can give him a race, fresh up. He has got a good record. Cheerful Days, I think, will certainly run his race as well, always seems to do just that, and Duke Y, hard to really leave him out of the mix as well. He has had a run, and he is in form. 2, 4, 6 and 3 for me.